ZTE Velocity promises fast, secure Wi-Fi anywhere for up to 10 hours, connecting 10 devices on dual band with global roaming and microSD file sharing. Either we have a budget hotspot that punches way above its weight, or we are about to unmask a piece of 2015 tech recycled for 2026. On paper it is GSM unlocked, LTE bands 245 1729, UMTS 850 1900 2100, dual band Wi-Fi, touchscreen control, and a 2800 mAh battery. Sounds stacked, right? But here is the thing. It is powered by an older single-core Qualcomm MF985 modem, uses a micro SIM, and firmware updates only arrive over the air with an active AT&T SIM. I actually lived with the Velocity for 10 days across AT&T and MVNO in 2 cities. I have put the direct link to check current pricing in the description, but before you click anything, let me show you what I discovered after a solid week plus of testing. What the Velocity claims to do: turn any GSM SIM into secure portable Wi-Fi with dependable 4G LTE performance, long battery life, and easy management from a touchscreen. Key marketing promises: up to 10 hours of battery life and 240 hours standby. Connect up to 10 devices on dual-band Wi-Fi. Global connectivity and unlocked GSM flexibility. MicroSD card file sharing and simple touchscreen controls. Sounds convenient, right? Pretty bold claims for $119.99, but here is where things get interesting. Reality check. They claim 4G LTE everywhere. What you actually get is LTE coverage that depends heavily on bands your carrier uses. The Velocity supports LTE 245 1729. That is fine for AT&T in many areas, but it lacks T-Mobile's extended range bands like 12 and 71 and newer capacity bands like 66. In my tests downtown on AT&T, I pulled 3570 Mbps down and 1020 Mbps up at lunch hour. On a T-Mobile MVNO in the same spots, speeds slid to 825 Mbps down and 38 up, and it dropped to HSPA in fringe neighborhoods. Here is why: without band 12 or 71, indoor and rural coverage suffers. Let's be real, no amount of marketing can paper over missing radio bands. They claim global roaming. What you actually get is limited LTE abroad. Europe relies heavily on LTE band 3 and band 20, which the Velocity does not list. I forced local SIMs during a trip last year with a similar band set and mostly saw 3G HSPA 2100. Translation: you may connect, but not necessarily at LTE speeds. The plot twist is that the UMTS bands help you fall back, but in 2026 many carriers are phasing out 3G entirely. If your destination shut down 3G, your results will be inconsistent. They claim up to 10 hours of battery. What you actually get is 6.58 hours in mixed use with 3.5 devices, pinging Teams, streaming a 1080p YouTube Live, and a cloud backup in the background. Light browsing with one laptop pushed me to about 9 hours. Standby was fine for days, but 240 hours is a best-case idle number with radios dozing. Here is where it gets mathematically tough. A 2800 mAh pack feeding an LTE modem plus dual-band Wi-Fi simply cannot promise 10 hours of constant heavy streaming in real networks without dropping brightness, limiting Wi-Fi power, and keeping background tasks minimal. They claim connect up to 10 devices with dual-band Wi-Fi. Reality: it does connect 10, but once you go past 6 active clients doing real work, the single-core MF985 starts juggling. Total throughput caps out by the LTE link, and the access point's 5 GHz range is shorter than 2.4 GHz. I clocked around 120 Mbps LAN throughput over 5 GHz at close range, but your internet speed will be the bottleneck. Separate guest Wi-Fi works, but there is no WPA3, only WPA2. They claim unlocked GSM flexibility. Reality: yes for AT&T and most GSM MVNOs, with a catch. You need a micro SIM, so modern nano SIMs require an adapter. OTA firmware updates only trigger with an active AT&T SIM, meaning if you are on or an international carrier, you may be stuck on older firmware unless you borrow an AT&T SIM. That is not switching, that is expensive confusion. They claim microSD file sharing. Reality: it works via the web UI, but file transfers averaged 6.8 MB per second. Fine for documents and photos, not for streaming high bitrate 4K video. The touchscreen is genuinely helpful for quick checks, but it is small and the UI looks and feels dated. Under sustained load, the unit warms up. I never hit thermal shutdown, but speeds dip slightly after long uploads. User experiences line up. An average 4.1 rating on Amazon, with praise for simple setup on AT&T and complaints about weaker T-Mobile coverage, the micro USB port being old school, and battery life that does not match the headline when you actually multitask. Speed and bands. This is a Category 4 LTE modem with theoretical 150 Mbps down and 50 Mbps up. In the real world in 2026, capacity is network limited and band limited. No carrier aggregation, no 5G, and missing extended range bands. If you are primarily AT&T or an AT&T MVNO in a band-rich city, it is serviceable. If you are T-Mobile heavy or rural, expect drops in 3G fallbacks where still available. Battery life. Rated 2800 mAh, claimed 10 hours. My mixed-use averages were 6.59. The web UI lets you dim the screen and cut the guest network to squeeze extra time. It charges via micro USB, no fast charging, so budget about 2.53 hours to refill from low. Build and usability. Compact, pocketable with a color touchscreen that saves you from diving into a clunky web portal for basics. Dual-band Wi-Fi is a plus, guest SSID is helpful, and you can see connected devices at a glance. The software is dated and a bit laggy, and the lack of WPA3 and modern admin niceties reminds you this is older hardware. Value and what nobody tells you. At $119.99, it undercuts many new hotspots, but the real cost is compatibility. Micro SIM means you need an adapter, firmware updates require. International LTE is hit or miss. You can find used or refurb Cat6 or Cat16 hotspots not much more expensive that bring better band support and carrier aggregation. If you want 5G, you are spending more, but you gain future-proofing and capacity. Red flags, listings vary, and some are refurb units with scuffed batteries or outdated firmware. Verify return policy. Check IMEI status with your carrier and make sure you are getting the charger and manual. Unlocked means GSM only. It will not work on Verizon or other legacy CDMA networks. Buy with caution. The ZTE Velocity is worth it if you are in an AT&T-friendly area, need an inexpensive travel or backup hotspot, and can live with micro USB, micro SIM, and older LTE. It is not for rural users, heavy multi-device households, or international travelers banking on LTE in Europe. Pros: affordable price, simple touchscreen, dual-band Wi-Fi, decent real-world battery, guest network, microSD sharing. Cons: missing key bands for some carriers, older Cat4 modem, no WPA3, micro SIM and micro USB, AT&T only OTA updates. For $119.99 and a 4.1 rating, the value is fair if you know the limits. Otherwise, save your money for a newer hotspot with better band support. Stay savage out there. Thanks for watching. If this review saved you from wasting money or helped you find something actually worth buying, I have put the link to check current pricing and read more reviews in the description. And hey, if you do decide to buy through my link, it helps fund these investigations without costing you extra. Drop your carrier and zip in the comments and I will tell you whether this will actually work where you live. Next up, I am testing the cheapest 5G hotspots under $200 to see which ones are worth it. Until then, guard your wallet and your Wi-Fi.